Hello, my name is Abby and I am a member of Propagate. And I have chosen, in honour of food and seed sovereignty, to choose runner beans. I love the seeds themselves. I've saved runner beans. I've saved lots of runner bean seeds over the years. They're beautiful. They come in all sorts of shapes and colour. Next, I love the way the beans will push themselves through the compost in their pots or seed trays, emerging first tentatively, seeking the light, finding their way, and then with more vigour, more energy, pushing themselves up and up and up and spreading their leaves out to catch the sun. But they grow fast, and once they are just about 10 inches tall, you need to get them into the ground. And runner beans are happy both indoors or outdoors. They thrive outside in Scotland. They don't mind a little bit of wind. They don't mind it too cold. They love it to be warm. As they grow, they twist and they turn and they climb, and they want to be the biggest thing in the garden. And they really usually are, and the most impressive. And then they put out a display of beautiful red or white flowers, each being pollinated by a bee. So they provide food for our pollinating insects as well. And then each of those tiny flowers, these delicate little flowers, will turn into a fat, flat pod, which is tasty and nutritious and good to eat. And these beans will keep on producing food for you throughout the year, until it gets really cold. They don't like the frost, and then they'll die. Although in hotter countries, I hear they're perennial and they keep going, which would be very impressive to see. And then, of course, you can save the seeds all over again, and they're so easy to save. You just let the pods dry until the seeds are coming out of their paper crispy cups. And then you can start the cycle all over again. So this resilience, this robustness, this will to live, and this will to thrive is why I have chosen runner beans as my seed of choice.
Hello, my name's Carol and I work with Propagate. I've been asked what seed I would germinate, and I thought I would talk about squash. I planted some squash last year, and I was very excited to see the little pumpkin shapes grow from little balls into bigger and bigger and bigger balls. Big pumpkins, what you have at Halloween. I grew them, and that was exciting because I hadn't grown squash before. Was then very disappointed because the slugs really liked the squash as well. So I decided to try and put a grid of square metal fencing to help the squash to be off the ground, and the slugs didn't get to them so easily when they were off the ground. So they grew well, and we ended up with actually only 3 squashes. Think of growing as a bit more of an experiment than, something that's this is exactly how you do it and this is exactly how it works, because often it's different every year, and some things are more successful than others. So yeah, it's good to experiment with new seeds and try new vegetables. So yeah, that's what I did, and yeah, it was a success, and I think I'll try and grow some squash again this year and probably use something to keep them off the ground a little bit to try and stop the slugs.
Hi, my name is Lesley and I'm a member of Propagate, and the seed that I'm going to choose to save around food sovereignty is peas. I love peas. Everybody loves peas, don't they? They're so tasty and sweet, and I'm always amazed that they're so good for you. They're really, really nutritious. They have lots of great minerals and vitamins in them. They're high in fibre and protein, and they get this protein from the nitrogen they fix in nodules at their roots. And because of this, they're part of the legume family, along with beans and lentils and chickpeas. We kind of class them as a vegetable, really, don't we? For me, they're the best garden snack ever. So when you're in the allotment, you can eat them as a snack, and they keep themselves clean because they're in their pods, so you don't need to wash any soil off them. You just pick them and open them up and eat them straight from the pod. And the flowers are very pretty before the veg comes through. It's really good to sow them in succession so that you have a steady supply of snacks when you're veg growing. Once they're all done and finished, you can just chop them down and plant something else in their place. So they're a kind of early summer veg. And once the peas are finished, you can leave a few big healthy pods on the plants and allow the seeds to dry in their pods, and then collect them and save them for next year. And you don't need to worry about how they were pollinated. They're called open pollinators, and peas will always come true to the same plant next year, whereas other plants, sometimes when they're cross-pollinated, you don't get the same kind of plant. So it's very safe to save the seeds from them. And they are very versatile because you can also use the seeds to sprout them, eat them as sprouts or salad leaves, and these are even more nutritious for us, and they're really tasty. So you can either sprout them just in water, or you can soak them for a few days and then put them in just a tiny bit of soil and grow mini pea shoots for your salads, which is really, really tasty. But they're very versatile. I love peas. Peas are good.
I'm Kat from Propagate, and I would choose nettle seeds to propagate. I love how when they burst open in spring, it's one of the first greens in our garden that we can harvest. I love the nettles because we can eat them, they're yummy, they're full of nutrition. I don't have to plant them, they spread, and all we have to do is go out and cut them. And then later on in the year, we'll harvest their seeds. Obviously the insects love them, so it brings lots of insects to our garden. But then we harvest the seeds, and we use them through the winter in a lot of our food. We also cut the nettle stalks, and last year we tried making twine from so you can making the fibres from the stems. I think it's amazing that this weed can be used to feed our plants. You can make plant food from it because it's really rich in nitrogen. But also it provides us with food, the plants with food. And it also can provide fibres. And I don't have to remember to plant it. It just plants itself and it spreads all over the garden. So yeah, I would germinate nettles.
Hi, I'm Lucy from Propagate, and I live in Lochwinnoch, and my favoured vegetable is kale, and I've chosen to propagate kale this year because it is such an amazing, marvellous plant that will see you through the winter. It has loads of vitamin C, loads of calcium, and it is so hardy. When everything else is going in the garden, kale's just like and it's incredible. And you get it in all kinds of different colours, and it's a very, very hardy brassica. And if you're stuck for something to eat in the winter, it's one of those things that will always be there as long as you treat it well. In fact, even if you don't treat it well, it tends to be okay.